Hey mamas, I am so excited to share with you Victoria's birth stories today. From one C-section to 2 VBACs with epidurals to a 3rd VBAC that was induced with no epidural, Victoria has a lot to share about birth. Birth stories are so powerful, and hers share how any mama with any birth experience can find gratefulness and peace in whatever birth experience she has. While birth is unpredictable, there is so much that we can do to prepare ourselves for a happier, healthier, and easier birth. And education and preparation is so important for that, like Victoria shares. To help you prepare and get educated, I have an online birth course that gives you the building blocks to build your empowering birth experience. So be sure to go to my website, builttobirth.com, which is linked in the description below, to sign up. But right now, let's listen to Victoria's birth stories, and then don't forget to subscribe, rate, and then write a review of the Built to Birth podcast on whatever platform you listen on so that more mamas get to hear these empowering birth stories. Well, how are you doing, Victoria?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. Is this your little one?
Yes, she's attached to mom, so she's
so
joining
cute.
the party.
Oh my gosh, how old is she?
Hi. She's a month.
A month. Oh my gosh, she is so adorable.
Thank you. She's a little puke machine.
That's always fun. It's always a little surprise in there.
Yes.
You never know what you're going to get.
Nope. Part of the fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I'm excited to hear a little bit about your story.
Yes. So I am 25 and I have 4 kiddos. I have a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and my 1-month-old. And all
so
of my
you're busy all the time.
Yes. People always say, your hands are so full. And I say, well, they're not as full as my heart. As cheesy as that sounds, but it usually gets the ha-ha. So.
No, I love it. That's cute. I love it.
So all
of your births
have been so different. My first one, I was young and I had this in my head. I didn't want any medicine, and I knew it was my first one, but it was fine. And I knew everything. And I was in labor for over 48 hours and pushed forever. My husband saw her head, and I ended up having an emergency C-section.
Wow.
Which was really, really not how I thought my birth was going to go.
Yeah.
But at that point, I was so tired, and they said we had an 80-20 chance it was going to be a C-section because my water had been broke for so long and everything. So we were like, well, then why am I still pushing? Let's just go.
Yeah.
So that was a really, really stressful going from I didn't want any medicine to I'm having a C-section with a lot of medicine.
Yeah. Did you start off that labor with an induction, or did you go into labor naturally?
That one was natural. I went into labor on my own. My water didn't break, but I was having contractions really close together. So they at first sent me home and gave me a morphine shot in my butt to try to restart my body. If it wasn't real contractions, then, I would be fine. And we went to Applebee's and it was like, no, this is the real deal. So we went back, and then they admitted me finally and did a lot of walking. But that birth I was mostly on my back in bed, through the whole thing. And I was young, and I had no idea that wasn't how you should labor. So I just tried my best, and I didn't last very long with no medicine. I got an epidural, and that kind of helped. It worked on half of my body. So I could lift my one leg up and do whatever I wanted, and the other leg I could kind of move.
Yeah.
But I don't think that either of those things were productive in my birth.
Yeah.
It did not help.
And it's hard when you don't know. It's like you don't even know what you don't know. And so it's hard to, be even go back and say,
Sorry.
No, that's totally fine. It's mom. Everyone who's going to be listening to this is a mom or is about to be a mom. So it's a little taste of what real life mom life looks like.
Yes.
But yeah, to go back and be like, to even say that I wish I did it differently, because it's like you didn't have any idea, you know, and so it's hard to say that you would have done this differently or that differently, because, you know, hindsight is always 20/20.
Yeah, so and that was what I knew.
Yeah, exactly. So how was that recovery like for you and that postpartum period when, you know, for your first one after having that C-section?
It was really hard. I now looking back, like having had vaginal births after, I was essentially, other than fully pushing her out, I was recovering kind of from both, because she had gotten down so far that my husband saw her head. Yeah. And so my body was like trying to fix that. But also I had this big incision that I didn't realize how low my toilet seat was until I got home and tried to go to the bathroom.
Yeah. Aww.
So my mom got one of those things that you know, stick on top of the toilet seat so that I only had to go down a little to like go to the bathroom. But you don't realize.
And that's a super good tip for like, because even for me, I don't even think about that. And that's so great for moms who, you know, a C-section, if that does happen, like that's such a good tip. So off the bat, thanks for sharing that, but please continue.
Yeah, that was something we learned like when we got home, because at the hospital, they're not super low toilets. And I didn't know there were different height toilets, honestly. So that was something we learned, but it was really hard. And when you forget to take your medicine, then you pay for it, kind of. I remember we went to Denny's and I had forgotten my medicine at home, and I was like, it's fine. And I got up from the table and like walked hunched over like out of Denny's because I hurt so bad.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. So that one was definitely the hardest of my recoveries, for sure.
Yeah. If there's something that you could encourage moms who do, if they do end up getting C-sections, to do postpartum that is like really helpful, what would you say?
I would say definitely get one of those toilet things, for sure. And just take it easy and don't feel like you can't ask for help, because if you're going to try to overdo it, then it's not worth trying to overdo, because I felt like I had to do everything and I didn't want to ask for help at all. And I had a lot of help, which was really nice. I just never wanted to ask for it. So I would say definitely, if you can, ask for help and let people help you, for sure. It's not anything to be ashamed of to ask for help. So.
Yeah. And I don't know what it is about moms where we want to be able to do everything, and asking for help is so hard. And so I think that's such a valuable lesson to learn early on, is that asking for help is not weakness. Like there's so much strength in asking for help and being vulnerable and being like, hey, I can't do this all on my own. And I don't have to. Like, this is why we have partners and family support or friend support. And so I think that's so valuable for moms to hear, especially who are giving birth for the first time, to hear it might be challenging. It's likely going to be challenging. So ask for help and don't be ashamed to accept it. So thank you for sharing that. It
takes a village, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's so true. I love it. So that was your first birth experience. Why don't you share about your ones after that?
Okay, so I'll kind of group my next two together because they were pretty similar. Okay. With my first, they told me that I was only going to have C-sections from there on out. And I was really, really sad about that, because I wanted to have a lot of kids. And I knew that the more C-sections you have, it kind of limits how many more you can have. And my first baby was 8 pounds, 14 ounces. And I went into labor again on my own with my second daughter, and went to the hospital, and we were able to deliver with a VBAC, which was really, really awesome.
Yeah.
I did get an epidural in that one too, just because, again, that's what I knew. And I just felt like, okay, I need one.
Yeah.
So
what do you feel like you did differently in that first VBAC that allowed you to have a vaginal birth instead of a repeat C-section?
I feel like when I was pregnant with my first daughter, I was so like anything I would read that had anything to do with the C-section, I would like skip over it. Like, I wouldn't read it. I was like, no. I don't want to have a C-section. I don't want to have a C-section. And I just wouldn't even put it in my head, but was subliminally putting it in my head. And I think I just relaxed and I realized like, it's not in my hands. I will do everything in my power to bring this baby into the world vaginally. And if I can't, I'm okay with that. I wasn't so stressed and like, I just relaxed. And my whole pregnancy, I knew that if I had to have a C-section, it was out of my hands. And I just realized it was going to be however it happened. And I think relaxing really helped a lot. And I had a different doctor also in that situation. But
did you need to change your care provider because you had they had told you before that once a C-section, always a C-section? So did you have to find a new care provider for that reason?
She actually stopped doing OB care by the time I got pregnant with my second daughter.
Okay.
So it was kind of perfect timing because the next place they said they give you a chart of like why you had a C-section and all this to kind of weigh your chances of a VBAC. And they told me that my chances of a VBAC were as if it was my first birth. So it was like I wasn't only for a C-section, which was really, really awesome to hear.
Yeah, that's so encouraging.
Yeah. So, and my second daughter was 9 pounds. So she was even bigger than my C-section. So that was kind of like, woohoo. But
it's like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah.
Like,
and she was bigger. Yeah. So that made me feel really good. But so I had 2 VBACs after that. And once you have a C-section, when I was pregnant with them, you can't get a midwife because the laws were they weren't allowed to have VBACs. And then, so both of those, I got an epidural and got all that stuff with them. But I also labored mostly on my back. My third daughter, I got to like an 8 before I got an epidural. And I was kind of trying to walk around, but once you get the epidural, you have to be in bed. Yeah. And so I got so close with that one that I was like, I was at an 8, but then I got to like, I couldn't, like I thought in my head I couldn't do it. And so I ended up getting an epidural, and she was 8'3", I think. 8 pounds, 3 ounces. And then my fourth daughter, we had been monitoring her. And so we had to, for medical reasons, get induction for her at 39 weeks.
Okay.
And I did.
Which is kind of an interesting situation for trying to have a VBAC, because some providers won't even let you be induced. So how were you induced with your fourth?
Yeah, because I've had a C-section, they only let me have the balloon dilator in there, and the Pitocin, is that how you say it? Yeah, and the Pitocin. And both of those things I had heard horrible things about. So I was trying everything to induce myself ahead of time.
Yeah.
I was walking like crazy with my kids. I was literally running up and down my stairs and doing jumping jacks, like taking a bath. and listening to your meditation, trying to relax myself into labor.
Yeah.
None of it worked. My body was not ready.
Yeah. I know that's the hard thing about inducing, like trying to naturally induce. It's like if your body's not ready, unfortunately, it's not going to happen. Yeah.
And I had my membranes swept twice. I even made an extra appointment, like, can you guys just squeeze me in? Because we were going in twice a week for NSTs.
Yeah.
And so I was like, can you guys just squeeze me in like really quick? It'd be like a 20-minute, not even appointment. Just one more time, swipe my membranes. And neither of them helped. But it's okay.
Baby was just like, no, not yet. I'm not ready.
Yeah, she's like, I'm still cooking, Mom. Sorry. Not ready yet. Yeah. So when we went in for my induction, it was totally different than going in labor, like, I need to check in, versus like, hey, I'm here for my appointment.
Yeah.
At 7.
Very different. And that's one sometimes nice thing about an induction. It's like, it's more scheduled, you're more composed, like you have packed all your bags the right way. So that's one of the upsides of having an induction.
Yeah, we had plenty of time to drop the kids off at Grandma and Grandpa's, and we weren't like trying to rush and do everything. But and so we got in there and they took all my vitals, and then they placed the balloon catheter, I think is what it's called. Inside, they just inflated the inside part, not the outside.
Okay.
And they told me to relax, walk around, do whatever I wanted. And it started contractions, but they weren't super powerful. They said it would fall out at, when I was at a 4-ish, it would fall out, and I was at a 3 when they put it in. Okay. And so I walked around, got in the bath, and nothing was really helping. So I went to bed. And when I woke up, they went to check, and it had fallen out. Like it was just sitting in my vagina, but I was still at a 3. So it at some point had come out, but didn't dilate me at all.
Oh no.
So I woke up like, seriously, I've been in here since like 7 o'clock and nothing has happened.
Yeah. Oh man.
So they said they were going to start me on Pitocin, and they got me started on that. And then the lady came in to take our order for breakfast, and I kind of like readjusted myself and made a weird face. And she goes, "Are you okay?" I said, "I think my water broke." I'm not sure, because none of my other kids, they all had my water broken at the hospital.
Okay.
So I was like, I feel like I kind of peed my pants, like my dress. I don't know. And I like readjusted, sat up like how I am, and was like, definitely broke my water. So my nurse came in, and we kept bumping up my Pitocin, and I was just breathing through it, and they were still manageable. And then I wanted to get back into the bath. Oh, Mama, it's okay. I wanted to get back into the bath, and so I tried that. I kept telling myself as they got really, really intense that they're only a minute. And I'm sure some of them were a little bit longer, some were a little bit less. But as they came on, I was literally like under my breath, "It's only a minute. It's only a minute. It's only a minute. It's only a minute." Like, you're fine.
That was your mantra.
Yeah. I'm like, "You're good. You're fine. It's fine. You're good." And so they checked me like before we got in the bath. I don't remember what I was at. And then I got into the bath and was fine. The doctor came in and she was like, "Hey, do you feel like you need to push?" I'm like, "No, the contractions are really intense, but I don't feel the pressure to push yet." And so she said, "Okay, well, if you get to that point, just let me know." And left the room. And my husband took a couple pictures of me like laboring in the tub. And then I looked at him and I'm like, "Okay, you need to push the button like now." And he said, "What button? What button do I push?" "The one on the bed. Just push the button on the bed for the nurse." And he's like, "Okay." And the nurse came in and I stood up and was like, okay, one more contraction, because I have to be at the hospital from having a C-section. So I can't deliver in the bathtub. I can labor in there as long as I want. I just can't actually birth baby in the bathtub.
Yeah.
But laboring in the tub, I see why people do water births, because it's amazing.
Yeah.
So
wonderful.
I stood up and looked at her. I was like, okay, one more contraction in the bath. And I sat back down, had one more contraction, and then got up and didn't even get dressed. I just walked in my sports bra and shuffled to the bed. And they had lowered the the foot part to the bed. And so I had my knees on there, and then on my, is this forearm? I was laying kind of forward on the bed. Kind of like hands.
So kind of like in,
Yeah. And they checked me and I was at an 8, and then I was having contractions really, really intensely. And I got to the point where I was like, I need something. I need medicine. I need something. And she said, okay, well, let's have you one more contraction, and then I'll check you, and then we'll see, because it seems like you're moving very fast. And I said, okay. So I was at an 8 and then had a couple contractions, and then she checked me and she's like, yeah, you're at a 10 and you're completely effaced. You don't have time.
Oh my goodness.
So
what were your emotions when you heard that? Yeah.
I was completely in shock. I kept saying, I can't do this. I might have been screaming and not saying, but it was like, I can't do this. I need something. I am so overwhelmed. I cannot handle it. And the thing I told my husband, I'd been watching all of your videos, and the one thing that I kept telling myself was, my body can't create a pain I can't take. And I was like, just go through the contractions, and then just my body can't create it if I can't take it. My body can't create it if I can't take it. I can do it. I can do it. And I kept saying, I can't do it. I can't do it. And they finally were like, look, the only way to be done is to have her. You don't have time to get any medicine. They won't even be in the room before you have her. So okay. So I tried very, very hard. I also kept looking at my little bracelet I wear that says, be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. And I just kept looking at it I can do this. My body was made for it. I've got it. This is what I was made to do. And I labored for a really long time, pushing. Once I realized I could push and I was okay to push, because I know you're not supposed to, but when I was finally able to push, I pushed so hard that apparently I wasn't pushing down and I was pushing up, because I felt like my eyes were going to pop out of my head.
Yeah.
So I was literally closing my eyes, covering them, holding them into my head, it felt like.
Yeah. Wow.
And we found out afterwards I had busted a bunch of blood vessels in my eyes from trying to push. And I had a big purple, busted lip from biting my thumb.
Oh, wow.
on there. But I delivered her with no medicine, which was an amazing, it still amazes me that I did it. And she was 9 pounds, 0.4 ounces. So she was our biggest baby.
Wow. Yeah. And you did it without medication.
So it was really, really, really awesome. And like I said, I'm still in shock that I didn't have any medicine. I had medicine after, but that was to stop my bleeding and all that. And that was the only part, because she was so big that I bled a lot after, which was stressful. But to be able to do it with no medicine and knowing that I can do it, and with the Pitocin, which the contractions were super intense compared to the other births, my contractions were a longer time, I feel like, but this time I feel like they were so more powerful. This time is so much more intense with the Pitocin. but I only pushed like 40 minutes, and she was there with no medicine. And I realized, like, yeah, my body can do it with no medicine. I've done a C-section, I've done a VBAC, I've done an induction now, and an unmedicated. And it's amazing what our bodies can do.
Are capable of,
Yeah, when you just stop and relax as much as you can in the moment. And focus. And that bracelet was like kind of my, you know, my focus point. Like I would just stare at it like, just find something to focus on, and know that you're, like I said, your body can't create a pain that you can't handle. And that is what really helped me through, like, having her with no medicine, which was still amazing to me.
Yeah, that is amazing. If you, like, looking back at your experience, is there anything that you would have, like, you would do differently next time, or things that you would try to learn so that next time, like, you know, just would you do anything different next time, or learn something else for next time?
I think this fourth one, I think, was pretty much the spot on for, I mean, now I know that I can walk around, because this time I walked around a lot around my room. I knew more of what I could and couldn't do. Like, I know that they had birthing balls. I knew that I could get in the shower or the bath, whichever I preferred, and that I could sit in there as long as I could. So I think those are just the things I would redo, would be just stay in there. And I probably would try to not scream as much this time, but, you know, it is what it is, you know?
Yeah. Every woman copes with labor differently. So, you know, some are quiet, some are loud. It depends on who you are.
Yes.
I love it. Well, you know, I think some women hearing, like, about a strong, you know, the strong contractions that Pitocin can bring on, you know, even your pushing experience, a little bit of, you know, the pushing so hard that, you know, you had some broken blood vessels, that might be a little bit, like, just like, oh, I didn't know that could happen, or like, oh, that makes me nervous. But were those things, like, nerve-wracking to you, or were they, like, just like something that happened and you still feel empowered? Like, for those moms who hear that and are nervous if they're facing an induction, or nervous to push out their baby, what would you say to them?
I would say, if you're facing an induction, don't listen to all the scary things that you hear, because it just gets in your head, and everybody's experience is totally different. So, like, I heard that the balloon was so uncomfortable, and and it wasn't that uncomfortable. It wasn't, it was, I mean, you could tell it was there, but I would just say, don't pay attention to the scary things. It was not nearly as scary as I thought it was going to be. The induction, I feel like even more powerful that I was able to go through an induction and do it, you know, without any medicine. And when you're pushing, I would just say, once they told me, like, hey, you're pushing up, just make sure you're focusing where you're pushing. And the one thing that one of our nurses did that was phenomenal, and I wish I could give her like 17 gold stars, was she took a sheet and she tied a knot in one corner of it, and she handed me it. So I had, like, my hands were here and the knot was up here. And when I would push, she would pull as hard as she could on the other end of the sheet. So when I was pushing, it focused and kind of, like, held me in there. And that's how we got the majority of the pushing, once I had to get off my hands and knees and kind of resituate. But I would just say, know your options too. don't think that you don't have options. You're not bugging the birth center by calling and asking what they have and their options, or calling your doctor and asking them, because I was scared of that. I felt like I was annoying to call and ask what I had to use, but just, you can do it. And once you realize, you know, that you just have to push down. Yeah. Once I figured that out, it was like, oh, perfect. Yeah. You know, just listen. Which is like
interesting because you pushed with an epidural for your other births. And so it's like you couldn't know any different, you know, even though you had done it before. And so it is different to push without an epidural because you do have those sensations. And so like learning how your body's doing it and focusing on those sensations, it was almost like you were pushing for the first time. Right. Because you were doing it.
Yeah, I was just trying to focus. Like as I pushed, I kind of just pictured like a ball, I guess, and pushing, like trying to push that ball all the way from me going to, you know, pushing it out and down and out of like my birth canal, because that was helping to push that sensation down instead of like, and you're pushing up kind of. Yeah. So yeah, I would say just imagining like how your body is pushing as you're pushing really helps, because all my other births, I was on my back with my feet up in the stirrups, and it was way more uncomfortable that way than being able to walk around and let gravity work and move my body. But at the same time, I wasn't kind of forced into that position for pushing. So I just had to really focus how I was pushing and making those pushes count instead of just trying to push, but try to push to get baby out and focus where that push was going. So,
yeah, I think that's super helpful and useful information for moms who are going into it maybe for the first time and not knowing exactly how to do that. And that's how, you know, I always explain to moms too, similar to how you say it, like imagine your air is a bubble and you're trying to send it all the way down, like to your baby and then out that birth canal. And I think that visual is so helpful because, and a lot of times women do push and their face gets all like wrinkled and red. And that shows that they're, you know, they're pushing up and not pushing down, which is such a weird thing to be like, oh, I didn't even know I had to like think about that.
I didn't know there were different ways to push up or down. I thought you pushed and you pushed.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I think that's just super helpful to hear that. And I know moms are going to be encouraged by that. Did you feel like you prepared differently for this birth than you did for your other ones?
Yes. I feel like I tried everything. I looked up a lot of stuff for trying to open my hips and get baby more engaged and more like not how to induce myself. Well, I did look how to induce myself, but that was later. But throughout my whole pregnancy, I just tried to do things like be walking, be moving to just keep my hips open instead of my other pregnancies. I just kind of waited until it was go time and was like trying to do what I could. But I feel like this time I really focused on just doing everything I could to make sure that baby could get down into the birth canal easily and making sure I was stretching and staying really active and making sure that it's hard to not be active when you have 3 kids that you're chasing around, but just trying to move. And I watched a lot of like how to focus your pain and how to cope with your pain, because the other births I wanted to do it without medicine, but I didn't prepare myself at all. I just felt like I can go in there and without looking anything up, I can just do it. And this time I really looked up, like watching a lot of your stuff to figure out how to like focus my mind when I was having those contractions. I would say put as many tools in your bag, so to speak, as you can. And just look up a lot of coping and I looked up a lot of different ways to move throughout labor. Because I was really, really adamant this time that I didn't want to labor and birth just like on my back in the hospital bed like I had, because clearly that wasn't working for me. So I just looked up a lot of ways to move and be active and how to deal with the pain in labor too.
Yeah. So that's awesome. What was one thing that like stuck out to you about your labor that you feel like really helped you cope and find relaxation, keep your focus, and stay calm throughout your experience?
I think, like I said, the whole my body can't create a pain that I can't handle really helped me in those moments where I felt like I couldn't handle the pain. I was feeling really overwhelmed, and that really just helped me stay calm and know that like my body, I also told myself, you know, my body is meant for this. My body can do this. My body's like your thing. My body is meant to grow and birth and nurture my baby, and I can do this. And just moving around a lot, and my husband helping me a lot with like back massages and any kind of helping with my pain. Him being there and being supportive was really awesome. I remember like, I can't do this, and him just like holding my head and, you know, you can do it. You can do it. Just having reassuring people in the room. I mean, he's even said now, like, I think your body does the best, like, without medicine, because you did awesome. Like, that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, that's so encouraging.
Yeah, I think making sure that you have encouraging people around you really makes a big difference. And just know, like, reminding yourself that you can do it, even when you feel like you can't do it, you can. And I felt like I had so much built up that like there's so much to where I couldn't do it. I didn't do it 3 times. Like I felt really, you know, like if I got to that point, clearly I was going to ask for medicine, and it's really empowering to know that I didn't need it and that my body can do it without. So yeah, I would just say make sure you have people that are encouraging, and just remind yourself that your body was meant to do it, and your body can do it, even if you feel like you can't.
Yeah, I love it. That's great. And it's, I think, encouraging too to hear, and like from one woman, so many different experiences, you know. And do you feel like you can look back on all of your births and appreciate them for what they were, even if they weren't necessarily like what you expected them to be?
Yes, I think each birth is so unique, and that's why I try to, any instance that I can, you know, if I have someone that I know that's expecting, to just kind of share my story, just because I have been through a lot of different things, but I feel like they're all so beautiful, and they're all I mean, they went how they were supposed to go, kind of. Like I was saying, it wasn't in my hand per se to have the C-section, but I brought my baby into the world the way that I had to in those instances. And each birth kind of got me a little bit closer to being able to do it without medicine. So I feel like that's really awesome to know from all of those. But I think each birth, no matter how it goes, even if it goes how you don't think it's going to, that it's still a beautiful story, and it's still your story. So I think that I definitely appreciate all of my births, no matter if they didn't go exactly how I had in my mind, but they're all beautiful stories, I think. So
yeah, they definitely are. And thank you for sharing all of them with us. Last thing, if there is one thing that you can share with moms that you think they need to hear and it can be about anything, birth or postpartum or dealing with pregnancy or relationship stuff. One thing that mamas need to hear, what would you want to tell them?
That you are a warrior and that you can do it. All of it. You can do pregnancy, you can do birth, and you can do momhood. And I think a lot of us get beat down by ourselves mostly. I think we are our worst critics. And I think that we're all warriors. We've all created and birthed, and we're raising whichever stage you're in. We've all gotten through those, and that we can do it. And it takes a village also. But sometimes I know there's moms that they are their own village, and I hats off to them as well. And I think, like I said, you're a warrior and you can do it, and just keep your head up even when you feel like you're not doing the best. If you feel like you're not doing the best, that means you care enough to pay attention to how much you're doing. So you are doing good.
Wow, that's so special and powerful. And I totally agree 100%. Mamas are warriors. They're amazing. And you are too. So thank you again for sharing your stories with us and your experiences and your encouragement. So best of luck with you and your 4 kiddos. That's so exciting. I love
Our little princess pack over here.
Are they all girls?
Yeah.
That's amazing. I love it.
Yes,
a girl squad.
We have Keely, Callie, Kylie, and Kaylee.
I love it. My daughter's name is Callie.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, so sweet. Oh, well, you have your hands full. So thank you again for taking some time out of your busy day, I'm sure. And hopefully you get a few minutes after this phone call to, I don't know, have some alone time.
Yes. Luckily, Dad's watching the bigger girls, and my second youngest, she is napping. So
good. Well, I'll let you go. Hopefully you can have a little bit of downtime before little one wakes up. So thank you again, Victoria, so much for sharing your story with us, and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you. And thank you for all your videos, because they really helped.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
Congratulations again on your newest little one, and hopefully we'll be hearing more from each other.
Yes. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, mamas, I hope you believe that you are a warrior built to grow, birth, and nourish your baby after listening to Victoria's stories. No matter what birth experience you might have, each one brings your baby into the world. It can be truly empowering and a growing experience that propels you into parenthood. If you're looking for encouragement and a guide through your pregnancy and labor, check out the affirmation meditations for free on YouTube, which is linked down in the descriptions below, or linked right up here in the video corner as well. Or you can purchase them from my website, builttobirth.com, which is also linked in the description below, so that you can have them whenever and wherever you are. Mama, you are a warrior. Thanks for being with me in this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, mamas.